to start doing this?
I'm going to mute now, okay?
Right.
I'm going to mute.
Yes, okay. At least Rashmi know you. That's very good. And I'll let you know when Professor Data is here. He's a member of the organizing committee as well. So for you to meet, that would be absolutely wonderful, okay? Yeah. We're just about. Good morning, Mr. Miguel Herrera.
Good morning.
¿Cómo estás?
¿Escucha?
¿Estás bien?
¿Sí? ¿Usted me escucha bien?
Todo bien, afortunadamente, hasta el momento. Ya estoy grabando.
Perfecto.
Oscar accedió. Rashmi aparentemente tiene un problema de señal, no sé. Tenemos... bueno, pero ahí no. Rashmi is back now. You know, Professor Rashmi, look at that. Rashmi, this is Miguel, a very good student.
Hi.
And he's learning English now at the moment.
Hello.
Okay.
And he's
Hello.
quite,
So I have to
Hola.
learn Spanish, this means.
Miguel, try your English. Yeah, my friend. Miguel, say something in Spanish. Di algo en español, yo lo traduzco.
Aquí unos días, porque son las 9 de la mañana.
Yeah, what he's telling you,
Un saludo
Rashmi,
gigantesco desde Chile.
that he's sending you a big hug and all of his best wishes from Chile. And also he's happy to see your face. And also, this is Professor John Raul is there. And now Chanava, I think.
Good morning.
Good morning. And now this is good. You are getting to know each other. Tell me something. What time is the wedding? The wedding.
Yeah. Hello, everyone.
Hello, Chanava. How are you
Yes.
today?
Yeah, my friend, I am doing fine, and I am very happy to join with you in this wonderful webinar.
Well, I hope that everything is going to be fine. And well, it's 9 according to my watch. Is it 9?
8:57.
No, not yet.
It's going to be in 3 minutes.
3
We
minutes.
have,
Yeah.
hello, Oscar. Good morning. Say hello
Morning,
to
sir.
say hello to Johan, to Chanavas, and to everybody.
Hello, hello. Oscar Inostroza from Chile. I guess we can talk quite well. No problem with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Now I'm going to put my ID in mute, and so there will be no disturbance. And we will wait for the participants.
Sorry, what are you
Yes,
going to
thank
do?
you.
The signal is a bit weak. You are going to mute? Or
I'm
what?
going to, yes, my friend, I'm going to mute now, and we will wait for presenter and more participants.
Right. That's okay. Lovely. Well, we're going to be in touch.
Yes. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, my friend.
Now, well, you know, almost everybody, at least, well, we're waiting for Professor Tata, and then But it is not the time yet, huh? We
It's
have
2
to
minutes, I think.
your clock is very good. Eh? Yes. It is 2 minutes to 9. Yes, that's very true. A ver, I think Professor Data will come very soon. And so and
¿No? Pásame
now
una peineta por si me tengo que mostrar. Porque estoy todo despeinado.
Oscar, do mute your microphone.
No.
You can come
Okay.
here without telling everybody. Hello,
Don't worry.
hello, Yoshi. Hello, how are you?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Jan.
Hi.
Hello, Rajan. How are you?
I'm good, Roberto. How are you?
No, not too bad. To be honest,
Good.
I'm all right.
¿Estoy bien?
A lot happier than yesterday night, actually. I was a bit
Okay.
worried, anxious about this because I'm not a master at this platform, so I hope not to make any mistake. And you know,
Okay,
when
fine.
you face something new, it's sometimes very exciting, and sometimes you get a bit anxious. That's all. That's
Yeah.
well, but I think this is going to be work out okay. And we are going to start soon at 9, I think.
Yes. It's
Really?
right 5:30 in India.
Now we are. So what I'm going to do, I will write. I think we should start. Can we? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Well, this is what we are going to do. And right. Well, I'm very happy. I'm very happy to welcome you all to this first international webinars on topics in the state of the art of knowledge. The key speaker today is going to be Professor Dr. Rashmi Barbach, and the title of the conference is Boson Matching and its application for need-based research. Well, today, some preliminary remarks. In very brief, I can say that the main goal of these webinars is to disseminate advanced knowledge in basic science, engineering, material science, and humanities. And what we aim to achieve many purposes involving the members of the academic community all over the world and other professionals as well. And key speakers have been invited to deliver plenary conference without any distinction at all. And what is beautiful is that everybody is warmly welcome to this international web seminar. The organizing committee is, we have Professor Dr. Rashmi Barbach, I think that's the right pronunciation. I'm sorry if not, from India, Professor Dr. Joan Roll from the USA, Professor Dr. Dibabrata Datta from India, and this is me. Now, some small, the webinar which are coming soon. Today we are going to have the first one. On this number is, this date is wrong. It should be September the 26th. at the same time. And the key speaker is going to be Professor Dipabrata Datta. And the title of the conference is An Arrow of Time, Research and Education. And then Professor Dr. Johan Raoul, October the 10th. At the same time, effective teaching and learning in the new world economy. Then that's me. I'm going to talk about research and its impact of an effective learning process, which is quite relevant subject for us here in this small country. Then I met Rajendra Yachi, a very good friend of ours. He's going to talk on November the 7th, 2020 at the same time. Cost-effective Raman and universal spectroscopy in India, which is a subject that we're all very keen to listen to, because I understand this company has had a very great success all over the world. And then this is the only title so far in Spanish, and but in English, I have the translation somewhere here, and it's the production in solar pools of potassium and lithium brines. And this is going to be delivered by a former student, PhD student of mine, which is a current professor at the moment, Andres Soto Bubert. And well, this is roughly what we have at the moment. And what I'm going to do, you see, is I will make, I had to admit some people, sorry, if I make some. Professor Dipabrata is here. Saeed is here. Excuse me. And now I think we have, and now, Professor, are you ready to start? Can I make you host to do so? Professor Rashmi?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
well, it's a look. You should put somewhere here. Give me a second, please. And Raj, now you are the host, and there you are. So from now on, you are in full control of the whole operation. And I wish you a very good luck. And please.
Professor, you made Professor Datta host, not me.
No, not really required, because I am.
No. In this, it is showing on the screen that he made you as a host, not to me.
So I made a mistake. No, yes. Professor Datta, can you make me the host again? Sorry, I made a mistake.
Yeah, so, but can I have a control from me? Just because this exercise is new to me. So what you can do, you can nullify, and then
there you
can
are.
make that.
There you are.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Now you can make me host again, please.
Because I should have the control from my side. I'm seeing the I'm not getting any control from my side. I'm not. So it is giving that you are controlling to my screen.
You have got it at the moment.
Yeah. I am seeing that it is written you can control about a screen, but where is that button where I can press that to control? So I should have I should have some button to where I can place that. That one.
Sorry, let me look again.
Yeah.
Professor
Professor
Roberto,
Acevedo.
shall I explain that to him?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you can see the icon which is called participants. Click on that. In participant, you can find
Yes.
Rashmi, and please
Yes.
make Rashmi as a host.
Okay. Yes.
Do it in
So I have changed it. I have changed it. Now I have changed
Okay.
it. Yeah. I have changed.
Yeah, now everything is fine. Rashmi madam, you can start your seminar.
Yeah, now we are.
Yeah. Now it is okay.
Yeah. I have made it so the on the
Yeah.
other. Yeah.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank my God who gave me all encouragement and all these things. And he is always with me for giving me support. Thank you, Professor Roberto, for giving me this chance and to discuss about this thing. So basically, this is we are discussing about Boltzmann machine and its application for need-based research. Basically, this is how we have to choose any strategy, any plan when we are doing something. Like it is shown in the figure also that you have two types of the plan A and plan B. So of course, an investor or anyone is confused which one they have to select. So Boltzmann machine help in understanding that how we have to select that and how to further go for the research. So I tried my level best to keep this presentation as simple as I can make it. And this has three parts. First is the part which is dealing with the what is research or why we are doing the research. Second part is little bit technical part related with the Boltzmann machine and the restricted Boltzmann machine. And then the third part is the application, how we have to use this for finding the solution. So, hello. Yeah. So basically, as already explained by Professor Roberto, that this is a international webinar on the advanced topic in the state of the art of knowledge. And the organizing committee already told me, Professor Debabrata Datta from India, and Professor Anrol and Professor Roberto. So basically, we are starting with, it's not working actually. Yeah. So we are going, what is the research method? Basically, it is a confusing what is research and what are the different method or techniques we are using to find out it. So basically in journal, if you can say that, or Confucius says that, I hear and I forget, I see and I believe that, I do, then only I understand the things. And the famous quote by Churchill is, the empires of the future are the empires of the minds. So of course, if we are able to control the mind or able to read the mind or able to work with our mind, then I think we are the future generation. So there is nothing more difficult to take in hand, more perilous to conduct, or more uncertain in the success than to take the lead in the introduction of a new order of things. So whoever desires constant success must change his conduct with the times. Because if we are not changing our conduct with the time, then we are not considering or we are not aware with the latest techniques. So what is the motivation towards need-based research? Basically, the integrity of knowledge that emerge from research is based on individual and collective adherence to core values of objectivity, honesty, openness, fairness, accountability, and stewardship. Integrity in science means that the organization in which research is conducted encourage those involved to exemplify these values in every stage of the research process. Also, understanding the dynamics that support or distort practice that uphold the integrity of research by all participants ensures that the research enterprises advance knowledge. So what is research in toto? It is defined as a, just a minute, that actually it is struggling. I don't know what is happening here. Just a minute. I will check it. So research is to discover new knowledge, seek answers to questions. So basically what is basic research? It is often driven by curiosity for fundamental general knowledge or understanding. High impact examples are already we know that relativity theory, DNA, genome, and nowadays the vaccine for the pandemic COVID-19. So need-based research refers to a search for knowledge. It means a scientific and systematic search for pertinent information on a specific topic. In fact, research in the art of scientific investigation. The purpose of need-based research is to discover answer to question relevant to a practical problem pertaining to industry through the application of the scientific procedures. So in general, what kind of the research are there? It is a systematic, which is a research process, logical, which is based on induction or deduction, empirical, which is evidence-based, reductive, which is generalization of the research. Then we have replicable, which is a change in the methodology. So in general, types of the general research is to gain familiarity with the phenomena or to achieve new insight into it, which is known as exploratory research. To describe accurately the characteristic of particular individual situation on a group, which is known as the descriptive research studies. To determine the frequency with which something occurs or with which it is associated with something else, it is known as a diagnostic research studies. And to test a hypothesis of a causal relationship between variables, it is known as a hypothesis testing research studies. So research includes the decisions. So of course, multi-criteria, multi-expert, multi-event, and conclusion-oriented. Then we have a simulation research, which is based on the uncertainty modeling. Clinical or diagnostic research, which is a need of the nowadays. One-time research or longitudinal research. Then we have a field setting research or the laboratory research. What are the different research process? So basically, if you have to start the research process, you must know where that problem exists. So you have to review the literature or available literature. Then you have to formulate some questions that what you want to do the research in that. So of course, it is a select an appropriate research design for that. When you are selecting an appropriate research design, so it is based on some collection of the data. Once you collect the data, so it is based on some interpretation of the findings. And when you have the findings, then you want that publication of those findings. So in total, it is a cycle which is going on continuously, review the article, formulate, design, collection or the simulation or the finding of results, and then publishing. So it is a circle in mathematical term, I can say, or a cycle which is continuously going on. So in general, research are two types, basic and applied. In general, we divide it. So basic research is based on the theoretical, or it is more invasive. It is laboratory based, It may be tightly controlled. It has a lack of the external validity. Then it is focused on some mechanisms. But when we are, and it is more towards the reductionist of that. But when we are coming to the applied research, then it gives us a quick answers. It is less invasive. It is field-based or laboratory, I can't say, but it is a field-based also. So it is loosely controlled and it has a extremely externally valid. So validity is internally or externally depends on that which is a greater. And it focus on the effects, and also it has a less reductionist on that points. So in total, if we are taking our research designs, that how we have to design the research, it is have the types, 3 types, major are the 3 types: analytical research, descriptive research, and then experimental research. So if we talk about the analytic research, it has the reviews. Then we have, based on those reviews, the meta-analysis. Then we have philosophicals, and historical events are also there. But when we are coming to the descriptive research, then we have the case studies, surveys, and based on these, we have a cross-sectional, and which is a latitude, longitudinal, and then we have the, based on those surveys, some correlation about those study. But when we are coming to the experimental, then we have a pre-design, quasi-designs, then two design, and lastly, we have a statistical design to correlate all the things. So basically, most of the research we are dividing in quantitative versus qualitative. So if we are talking about the quantitative research, it is the investigation aims to assess a pre-set theory, means already there is some theories designed, and then based on that we are trying to investigate something. So it is more towards the deductive reasoning. Also, it is often involves hypothesis testing, attempts to minimize the influence of the researcher on the outcome, and also it is quantitative ideas which infers from the statistics. And it is based on the data collection, therefore requires a closed response. But when we are coming to the qualitative research, then it is an investigation aims to create a new theory, or which is a inductive reasoning. It is a inherent part of the study. It is qualitative data infers complex statements or opinions. And it is therefore data collection permits the open responses. So this is the major difference, which is quantitative versus qualitative research. Why we should do the research? This is an important question, and all students ask why. So basically, if we are talking about the research, so there are the different, I can say, the steps in the research or the types of the research. We have a basic research, applied research, then application development. When we are talking about the basic research, it gives you a amount of transforming this basic research to the applied research. So we are doing the advancement of technology. And when we are going to the application development, so this means this advancement of technology, we are making some application or utility of this application. And these application or the techniques which we transform in the form of a gadgets is helpful for our quality life. But if we see in the reverse way, quality of life depends on the utility of applications. Also, it is depends on the advancement of technology, and also it is depend on the amount of knowledge. So now if we are talking about the present scenario, so our quality of life depends on that when the vaccination will come. So it is an advancement of technology, and the base of that, it is an amount of knowledge. But for all these, we require the funding, and that is the major crunch, I think, in all of the countries. And in the present scenario, of course, it is a very much problem for the funding and to arrange for the funds for doing the research. So basically, if we are talking about the amount of knowledge, it is based on the curiosity. So we should be curious to know about some facts, and then based on that, we are able to do the research. So basically, if we have a curiosity and we have a basic knowledge, then going up towards the quality of life, we require the computer science and the information science, which is a merging of those, and we are simulating for the advancement of the techniques. So basically, different steps or different positions which can control the different collaborators are: we have amount of knowledge as a one subset, advancement of technology as a one subset, and when these two subset joins, we have a utility of application. So advancement of technology and utility of application is a proper subset, and all these are making it as a one bigger set, and all are contributing towards the quality of life. So what is the scale of research? Normally, scale of research involves physics of the problem to be solved. In this context, we have microscopic physics, which deals with the microcanonical ensembles. Then we have a macroscopic physics, which is related with the canonical ensemble, and mesoscopic physics, which is basically a particle or a lattice physics. So overall, we have a basically multi-scale, multi-physics problem like a microfluidics. So research is in the microfluid is one of the new direction, and already with Professor Datta and Professor Roberto, we have planned a one book, and we called for the chapter also related with the microfluidic and nanofluidic. So how to do the research, or how to generate from the old one. So scientifically, any new research on a particular subject, like quantum optics, quantum computing from the existing one, signifies the quanta of corresponding updates. For example, journey from macroscopic scale-based research to microscopic scale-based research done via using mesoscopic scale is always an updation in the said field. So research on artificial general intelligence or quantum computing is the new era, and we know that it is a new direction of research. So how to prepare ourselves for the research? This is a simple cartoon I have taken, very innovative cartoon. Yeah. Interviewer asked the students, or in the class, a teacher asked the student, what do you mean by dy by dx? Now, some are the intelligent students, some are the dreamer also. So, of course, who are studying, they know that it is a rate of change or slope of tangent. But there is no such barring of that key. One cannot think that it is a ratio of the two dy divided by dx. But of course, a teacher or an interviewer throw him out of the class or the board that he didn't know the basic thing, that dy by dx is nothing but it is a rate of change or the slope of the curve. So these are the simple things which we can understand and can explain in a simple way, so that anyone can motivate towards the research. So what it takes to do research normally, these are the simple things which in my opinion, I think is the basic things. We should be curious, allow you to ask questions. It should be a critical thinking, allow you to the challenge assumptions. It should be about learning. So take you on the frontier of the knowledge. It is always persistent, so that you don't give up, because you don't know when you will get some good result. Respect data and truth. Ensure your research is solid, means no manipulation with the data. And communication, of course, now, because for your promotion and other things you require this, to allow you to publish your work. And this is a simple imagination or curiosity to understand the things. Suppose a potato we are considering as a function. I can imagine that first derivative is the rate of change. So it can be a rate of change as a finger chips. And the second derivative is the rate of change of the finger chips. So it can be a chips also, potato chips. Or we can think on new direction. So we should be curious to think out of the box. So always keep on thinking a new dimension for teaching, for learning, for researching. So these are the simple ways of enhancing our research. Accept there is no right answer. Don't follow the rules. Always be foolish. Ask what if. If you are not succeeded, then what if? What you have to do. Think outside always your area. Go for ambiguity. And this is the important. Always have a belief in yourself. If you are not having a belief in yourself, you cannot control the other factors. So always have a belief in yourself, and always you can do anything what you want. So research is basically a combination, which I consider in my case that it is honesty. It is about the motivation. It is about the sincerity. It is about the inspiration. It is about the commitment. It is your hard work. It is your integrity, and it is your positive attitude. So all these, if you have, then you are a good researcher. So how we have to identify a good research problem? I'm showing you a simple things that you have a plus sign. On each line of this plus sign, you just again put the plus sign. So in the first iteration, you are getting this structure. Repeat this process, and you see in the third iteration how complex structure you are getting it. So this shows the growth of our complexity. But the beauty of a researcher is to analyze the simplicity out of this complex structure. So if I take any plus sign or any small part of this, and if I zoom in, then I'm getting the structure as a earlier one. So I can do the research on this and then correlate the complex things with the simple things, or the simple thing to the complex, or complex to the simple thing. So this is the beauty to understand about the research and to analyze the things. And that gives you the passion and the thinking also, so that you can visualize everywhere the research topic. I'm showing you a very simple example. It is a simple iteration example, and everyone knows that it is a logistic growth or development of population. Here we have a iteration process which we are using in the computers, as the next iteration is depending on the previous iteration. So xn plus 1 is r times of xn into 1 minus xn. So it is a because growth model. So if one population grows, the other will be diminishing. And r is the vector which is controlling it as a initial vector. So now you see that if we are going on changing the values of r with the initial value of x, then where our orbit or our goal, or what we will achieve in the orbit or in the later stage. Suppose we start with the r as 0.5, and the initial value means x0 as 0.5. And when we are putting these values, r as 0.5, x0 as 0.5, then we are getting the value of x1 as 0.125. Now you see, after some iteration, this will goes towards the 0. This means this population or this growth is not survival after some time. So it diminishes. Same way, if I took that r as 0.8, initial value again the same as 0.5, again do the same process. It took more iterations or more life, but again it will diminish after some time. Now if we have r as 1, then again with initial value 0.5, after some time it diminish. When we are coming r is equal to 1.5, now you see that the change. When you have r equal to 1.5 with initial value 0.5, that after some iteration it is merging towards 0.33. So all whatever iteration, number of iteration you take, it will be moving towards the 0.33. So this means it is moving towards a single point. So this population exists with the whatever with the rate of this. Now if we have r equal to 1.5 and x0 as 0.2, then again the population is existing with a 0.33 value. If we have r equal to 2.5 and the value is 0.5, then again the population exists with 0.6. Now come to when we have a r equal to 3.2 and initial value is 0.5. See, after 2 iterations, it is having the same values and it is oscillating between two values, either 0.7995 or 0.5129. So this means from a single, it is dividing into two cells. So if you talk about the cell biology, it is a division from a single to the two cells. When we are coming to R equal to 3.5, so see that it is converting or dividing into 4. So it is a basically a cell division from a single to 2 to 4. And when we are coming 3.55, it is transforming to 8. So this means it is a, just in mathematical term or in simple term, it is a bifurcation, and which is a transforming from single cell to 2, 2 to 4, and 4 to 8. And this is also the case in the case of the tumor. So now I will show that how you are plotting it. Now this is the figure. You see that when R is less than 3, almost it is up to 1, it is extinct. Then 1 to 3, it is surviving with the single values. Now after 3, here it is merging towards the 2 points, then 2 to 4, and like this thing. So when it is less than 1, the growth is extincted or died. When it is between 1 to 3, you have a fixed point. When it is between 3 to 3.5, you have the oscillation or period doubling phenomena. So this is in the mathematical term, it is known as a bifurcation or a period doubling values. And you see that it is our body cell divisions. One cell is divided into 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8, and like this thing. So how complicated structure we are getting it. And this is the same case in the case of the tumor growth. The cells are going on multiplying in the similar manner. And when we are doing a treatment chemotherapy sessions, if a particular node point you are cutting or the putting a chemotherapy session, then the growth, complete growth goes. Otherwise, the some portion remains, so that cells again goes on multiplying the these. So mathematically, it is a known as a fractal. Now you see that how cells are growing, and this is the growth or the division of the cells that is increasing with the small factors of the change of that or the branching of these. Now, why we required a research? So direction of need-based new research is guided by a Boltzmann machine. So Boltzmann machine provides a paradigm shift from the traditional research to research that is based on theory of learning. Artificial intelligence-based research can be identified as new search that can be achieved by Boltzmann machine. Artificial intelligence-based research includes neural network, pattern recognition, deep learning machine mechanism, etc. Now these are soft computing technique era. So what is machine learning? Basically, it is about predicting the future based on the past. So you have a past, you training the data, learn something, and then you have a model or the predictor. Same way you have a future, testing the data, then you are predicting, and you have a model or the predictor. So how artificial intelligence developed since initial till now? Artificial intelligence start in 1950s, which gives intelligence to machine. Then in 1980s, it comes to be the era of machine learning, which realizing the artificial intelligence like a speech recognition, image recognition, playing Go, and dialogue. Then from 2006 onward, the deep learning concept comes into the picture, which is for machine learning for higher prediction accuracy. It is a powerful class of machine learning model, modern recombination of the artificial neural network. It is a collection of simple trainable mathematical functions. So artificial intelligence development, if we are talking about in 1958, Rosenberg perception algorithm comes, then 1969, XOR problem comes into the picture, then 1986, we have the backpropagation algorithm to train neural networks. In mid-90s, we have a support vector machine, and now 2006 onward, we have a restricted Boltzmann machine for pre-trained deep neural network. 2007, there is a image for data-driven learning. Then 2011, Microsoft explored this for the speech recognition, and the IBM, and 2014 and 2016, we have a different, and now we are moving towards the quantum computing. So deep learning application is, of course, you have everywhere now in every field. So now we are coming to the what is neural network and how it is based on. So when we are talking about the deep learning, it has a nonlinear activation function. It is a neuron which could connect to every input. Then we have a multi-level with million of neurons, like in our body part, we have a brain is connecting. So any function can be computed. The drive behind deep learning is you need a faster machines or core CPU or GPU. Then you require the big data, also the new models and algorithm. So neural network is when a pattern recognition or a data classification. So basically, if we are talking about a simple spectrum of machine learning tops, so it is a change from typical statistics to the artificial intelligence. When we are talking about the typical statistics, we have a low dimensional data, like less than 100 dimension. But when we are coming about the artificial intelligence, then we require the high dimensional data. In case of the statistics, we have a lots of noise in the data. But when we are coming towards the artificial intelligence, then noise is not sufficient to obscure the structure in the data if we proceed it in the right way. In the statistic, there is not much structure in the data, and what structure there is can be represented by a fairly simple models. But because when we have dealing with the artificial intelligence, so there is a huge amount of structure in the data. So it is complicated, so it to be represented by a simple model. And the main problem here is true structure with noise, but here is figuring out a way to represent a complicated structure so that it can be learned. Now this is the perceptron, because our body already I showed you that we have a cell which has the dendrites, nucleus, cell body, axons, and the terminal. Same way we have the perceptron approach. We have the inputs like 1, 2 up to n. We have a in between some hidden layer, and that output is there. And so if we are coming to perceptron, we have the some bias or the weight is there. Some inputs are there multiplied with the some weights, and we have a some activation function. And based on this, we have the output. So activation function is different functions, and which are linear, binary, sigmoid, stochastic binary. And the machine or the out function which is handling is the normally XOR function, and already most of us know what is the XOR function. When you have a means all are the false, you are getting false. All are true, then again you are getting a false. If it is true false, then only you are getting it as a true function. So neural network is normally we have the different inputs. We put some as a constant, means the training hour, and then we are putting the weight. Some weighted sum is there, and some stem function, and then we have the output of the product. If we are going to the historical background, so this perceptron is giving you the input. Then you have some features which is input or the non-adaptive code is there, and then you have the output of that. But second generation of this neural network start in 1985, where you have a backpropagated error, and where you are using input vectors. Then you have some hidden layers. It depends on the problem or the how much layers you are using it. So here you are using 2 hidden layer. Then you have a output of that. So compare output with the correct answers to get a error signal. So when you are talking about that, what is wrong with this backpropagation? Actually, it requires label training data. Almost all data is unlabeled. The learning time does not scale well. It is very slow in network with multiple hidden layers. It can stuck in poor local optima. So overcoming the limitation of this backpropagation, keep the efficiency and simplicity of using a gradient method, which we are using, and modeling the structure of the sensory input. adjust the weights to maximize the probability, and learn the probability of image and not probability label compared to with the image or the based on that image. So if we want to do the computer vision, first we have to learn computer graphics and then we are using this. So what kind of generative model should we learn? It is a question which is propagation in that. So after this, the era of the networks comes. Here we are using a directic graphs, means a cyclic graph or a cyclic graph. So you are using a nodes and then the edges are there which are connecting a vertex, and then you are developing a different type of the networks. So there is the inference problem where the state of the unobserved variables are there, or the learning problem which adjusts the interaction between the variables to make the network more likely to generate the observed data. Normally in the perceptron, we are using the logistic regression, and we know that if we are using a logistic regression, the linear model is y equal to b naught plus b1x. But if we are using the inverse of that, then the logistic model is our p equal to 1 upon 1 plus e to power minus b0 plus b1x. So you see that it is a regression line which is showing a linear model, but a graph which is in the pink color, it is showing you the logistic model, and which is also known as a S-shaped curve, and which is based on the binary units. You see here, these have a state of 1 or 0. The probability of turning on is determined by the weight input from other units, and normally probability is defined as if we are having a bias, so add a bias and the sum of the probability multiplied with the weight. Now it comes to be the era of the learning, which is deep belief net. So here we are using the stochastic some hidden layers, and then we have the visual effect on the data. So the learning rule for these belief nets are the sigmoid rule, which has the probability, and we have a 1 over summation exponent of minus of summation of these. So for each unit, we maximize the log probability that its binary state in the sample from the posterior would be generated by the sampled binary state of its parents. So we have a parent, and then we are going on the binary steps for creating these. In Toto, deep learning is a role-based system where some input is there, and we have some design program and we got some output. In case of the classic machine learning, we have our input, then designed features, then we are mapping from the features and we got some output. But when we are coming to deep learning, then we have an input, we have some sample features. Based on these additional layer or some more abstract features we are adding, then we are getting a mapping from these features and getting an output of that. So why it is simply hard to learn sigmoidal belief net one layer at a time. To learn the weight, we need the posterior distribution in the first hidden layer. The posterior is typically complicated because of explaining away. So if you see that data, we are using a likelihood to explain the hidden variables. And from the different hidden variables, we are assigning the weight and then we are coming back to the data. So the posterior depends on the prior as well as the likelihood. And so to learn W, we need to know the weights in a higher layers, and all the weights are interacting. Then we need to integrate our all possible configuration to get the first hidden layer. So normally two types of the generative neural network. Before or up to 1992, we are using sigmoidal belief net, and before that or in 83, Boltzmann machine we are using. If we restrict the connectivity in a special way, it is easy to learn a Boltzmann machine. So what is Boltzmann machine? It is primarily used to model the probability distribution of a data set through learning using the data sampled from the set. Application include classification, recognition, and probabilistic pattern completion. Prerequisite for learning is we should know about the information theory, statistical dynamics, simulating annealing, and the energy function. So when we are talking about the Boltzmann machine, the major difference between Boltzmann machine and the traditional neural network is, when we are talking about the Boltzmann machine, it is a non-deterministic function or a stochastic function of inputs. But when we are talking about the neural network, it is a deterministic function of inputs. Now see that both the function, if we are talking about the deterministic function, we know the probability and the net, and then it is a simple deterministic neural model. But when we are coming to be the non-deterministic or the Boltzmann distribution, then we are taking a order as a g of p of net I. Here directly we have the function of these ones. So suppose what is information theory? Already we know that any event is there, p is the probability of occurrence. So if e occurs, we receive a IE, which is nothing but log of 1 by p bits of information. So bit is nothing in unit of information, amount to the quantity of information received any of the two equally probable alternatives is observed. Now if we are calculating the probability of event half, then IE is log 2 of 1 by half, which comes to be log of 2 and which is 1 bit. If we are taking probability of E equal to 1, then I is log 2 of 1, so which is 0. If we know for sure that an event will occur, so its occurrence provides no information at all. Hello. Please mute your mic. So the information system whose symbol occurs with the equal probability has the largest degree of unpredictability and which is known as a maximum entropy. And this is very simple to prove it. Two sources each contains Q symbols with the probability. Suppose there are the two signals. One is a S1 and S2, and they have the probabilities P1I and P2J, and summation of all probability should be 1. So if we are talking about the difference in entropy between these two sources, it will be H1 minus H2, which is nothing but minus summation of Pi1 log 2 Pi minus P2I log 2 Pi. So if we are taking it and solving it in a simple way and adding a simple term of log 2 of P2I and subtracting log 2 of P2I, so we are getting the first two terms when we are combining. We are getting P1I log 2 of P1I divided by P2I, plus when we are taking the last two terms, we are getting it as a P1I minus P2I of log 2 P2I. And when we are solving it in general, we are getting this term. So if S2 is a source with equiparable symbols, then probability of each event is 1 by Q. This means log 2 of P is minus log 2 of Q. Suppose we say it as a some constant term. Since if we are putting these values here, probability of Pi1 minus P2I of C is nothing but summation of the probability. So both are same as 1, 1. So we are getting this value as a 0. So the second term is 0. Now we are calculating the first term. So it is H1 minus H2 is the simple minus summation P1I log of P1I divides nothing but a summation of P1I log of P2I by Pyi. And if we are solving it and see this figure, here we have the two functions or the probabilities between P1I and P2I. We are taking one function as y equal to x minus 1, another is log x. And you see that log x is always less than equal to function x minus 1. So if we are using this property or this concept, then easily we have the things that summation of P1I log 2I by P1I is always less than equal to summation of this. And when we are solving it, it simple comes to be equal to 0. This means the difference of the two entropy is always coming to be less than equal to 0. Hello. Now we are coming to the restricted Boltzmann machine. And this was given by Sponsky in 1986. And please mute your mic. So we restrict the connectivity to make learning easier. Only one layer of hidden units is required to deal with that. So there is no connection between the hidden units. So in restricted Boltzmann units, we are conditionally independent given the visible states. So we can quickly get an unbiased sample from the posterior distribution and when given a data vector sets. So this is a big advantage over directed belief nets because there we are not having much hidden layers. So if we are talking about the energy of a joint configuration, so energy is depend on the simple with configuration V on the visible unit and H is the hidden units. So it is nothing but minus of summation of VI. VI means the binary state of visible unit. HJ is the binary state of hidden unit. And Wij is the weight between the hidden units of I and J. And if we are taking product of VIHJ, it is nothing but a minus of delta EVH by delta of Wij. So this is an important energy function which gives us details about that function. So weights are transformed to energies and which gives us the probabilities. So each possible joint configuration of the visible and hidden universe has an energy. The energy of a joint configuration of the visible and hidden units determines the probability, which is directly proportional to exponent of minus e to power VH. The probability of a configuration over the visible units is found by summing all the probabilities. So using energies and to define probabilities, it is simply a simple PVH, which is a exponent divided by a sum of all the partition functions. So probability of a configuration of the visible unit is the sum of the probabilities of all the configuration that contain it. So the quick way to learn it, suppose we have some initial data, which is a t equal to 0. Then we have a sum function or the I and j units are connected through this function VIHJ. And then we have another one as a first step. This unit is connected with another unit and like this it is going on continuous. So starting with the training vector on the visible unit, update all the hidden unit in the parallel, then update all the visible unit in parallel to get a reconstruction, and like this update the hidden units again. So this is not following the gradient or log likelihood, but it works well. It is approximately following the gradient of another objective function. So this is a maximum likelihood learning algorithm for a restricted Boltzmann machine. So as you are going on continuous, you are going on to reach to the point. And this is showing that how you are starting with the initial point minus whatever be the infinity. It doesn't mean an infinity, but how much layers you are taking or talking about that. So 3 ways to combine probable density models. One is a mixture. Take a weighted average of the distribution. It can never be sharper than the individual distribution. It is a very weak way to combine models. Then we have a product. Multiply the distribution at each point and then renormalize. Then it has an exponentially function, of course, exponentially more powerful than a mixture. Then we have composition, which can use the value of the latent variable of one model as the data for the next model. So when we are training a deep network, the main reason are the RBMs are interesting. So first train a layer of features that receives input directly from the pixel. Then treat this activation of the trained feature as if they were pixels and then learn features of feature in a second hidden layer. And like this, we are going on continuing this process. So of course, when we are talking about the model, which has the 3 layers, you have a data, then the first hidden layer, then the second hidden layer. So you have a relation between the third and second with the weight W3, then second and one weight 2 and like weight 1. So you are going on connecting the different layers. So another view of why layer by layer learning works. So there is an unexpected equivalence between RBM and direct network. with many layers
Boss,
that
boss,
all
boss,
use the
boss, boss,
standard.
boss. কেমনে আছিস?
This equivalence also gives insight into why contrastive divergence learning networks. So when we are talking about the infinite signal belief net, that is equivalent to restricted Boltzmann method. So here you see that what we have, whatever be the layers, we have their weight transpose and the weight. Then again, next layer, so hidden layer and their vector. So hidden layer 1 and V1, and same way H0 and W0. So we have the probability, which is a conditional probability, which is based on V upon H and P H upon 1, and both are defined by the weight of the vector. So these are the way how we are getting it. So when we are talking about the initial value or V0 and H0 and V1, so it is connected with plus, then we have a plus sign of the V1 node to the H0 node, and then we have a weights of that P of V by H and P of H by V, and then we are combining these states. So these are the states when you have a more than one layers, then how weights are continuously going, and then accordingly how you have the backward state of that to find out the sigmoidal belief net in this. So always the rate of change or the change in the weights is proportional to the sigmoid and the difference of these. So when we are talking about the deep directed networks, so first learn with all the weights, then this is exactly equivalent to the learning, and then we are using constructive learning, divergence learning, which is equivalent to the small derivative, and you see this complete process is a simple unit as V0 and H0. Between these, then the next one, and like this we are going on the different layers. So once we are fixing that, so we froze that layer like in the initial way. Once V0 to H0 we fix this frozen, then H0 to H1 we froze that, and like this continuously going on. So when we are talking about a semi-restricted Boltzmann machine, of course it does not have much layers, so it is a simple visible layer and then the hidden layer. And when we are talking about the learning, start with the training vector as visible unit, update all the hidden units in a parallel. So respectively, it is going from one state to the another state, and then updating all the hidden units again. So there are the different methods. First method is known as a reconstruction. To form a reconstruction, cycle through the visible units, update each in terms of the using the top-down input from the hidden plus the lateral input, and then the other are visibles. Second method is the mean field, where visible units that have real values, update them all in the parallel. So of course we are using the damping using pi of t plus 1 is some damping factor, which is a lambda of pit plus 1 minus lambda of sigma xi, which is a total input of I. So if you see that it is also a type of the logistic function which we have taken earlier. So when we are talking taking this thing, then we have the statistical machine. What is the mechanics? This is an example which I have taken for the chemistry related person. It deals with the ensembles, each of which contains a large number of identical small systems. For example, thermodynamics, quantum mechanics. So we are taking a consider a thermodynamic system at temperature T, and the system is given sufficient time to reach to the equilibrium state. So of course, when in equilibrium state we are talking, so dE by dt is 0, where E is the energy of the system with the probability Pi. So this means the particle I has an energy EI, which follows the Boltzmann or Gibbs distribution, and the probability is given as C into e to power minus beta EI. Already we have shown earlier in the logistic model. So Pi is C of E minus beta EI, and where beta is 1 by Kb of T, where T is the Kelvin's temperature and Kb is the Boltzmann constant. And you see the figure as T is 0, you are getting this way, and T is infinity, you have the different functions. So if you are summing these Pi's, you are getting a sum of the CE minus beta E, and which is sum of all the probabilities always 1. So if you are solving C, you are getting C as 1 by E2 summation of E to power minus beta I. So when you are taking a PI in general, so PI function comes out to be E to power minus beta I divided by sum of all the functions, and this is known as a partition function. So journal function or in journal probability at a point or at any instance is defined as a E to power minus beta, which is a constant of EI, the state of that energy level, divided by the sum of all the energies at this. The system energy EQ at the equilibrium state is in average sense, and this is equal to summation of PI into EI. Then there is the coarseness of particle with energy, which is defined as K beta log of 1 by Pi. So it is nothing but minus of K beta log of Pi. So if we are talking about the entropy of the thermodynamic system, it is the average of all the coarseness. So H is the entropy, which is equal to summation of all the probabilities or the HIs. So it comes out to be minus KB summation of Pi log Pi. If we have the two system with the respective entropy as we proved earlier, so we have a S1 and S2 system, their probabilities are there. And when we have the same energy, so E1 equal to summation of P1R, ER equal to P2R, and like this thing. So these two are the same. So it follows the Boltzmann distribution. This means system 2 is also at a equilibrium state. And when we are finding a equilibrium difference between two systems, so we have to find out S1 minus S2. It is nothing but simple minus K beta log of these ones. And as already proved that it is coming to be the log of this value as a 0. So the total sum comes out to be the 0. So S1 minus S2 is being this one, and the summation is log X. Earlier I showed you that log X is less than equal to X minus 1 ka. So always S1 minus S2 is less than equal to 0. This means a system whose constituent small system with their probability of energy follows the Boltzmann distribution has always the largest entropy. So this is the use of this Boltzmann system. So basically we have the two traditional system, information theory and the statistical mechanics. In the information theory, we use the information sources. In case of a statistical mechanics, we are using the thermodynamics. In case of information theory, symbols are S. There we are taking particles with I. Amount of information is I, which is minus log 2 psi. Here we have the degree of coarseness, which is Hi, which is again the same as minus K beta of log Pi. Entropy in this case is minus summation Ps log 2 Ps. And in this case, entropy is minus K beta summation of probability into log Pi. Here equal probability, so all probabilities are equal to P. And in this case, we are getting it as a Boltzmann distribution, where Pi equal to C of E minus E I beta divided by K beta T. So these are the major difference between the information theory and statistical mechanics, and or also you can say it is a similarity, that how the two are similar at the different scales. When we are talking about the simulating of annealing, so neural network achieves purposes, means training and the production by minimizing or maximizing. So when you are using a learning process, so you are using a like a back propagation or recall process and the different ones. And when we are talking a recall process, then Hopfield model or the energy method. Different methods are gradient descent, hill climbing, and difficulties are local extremes. So I am giving an example of one local extreme. So how to simulate the annealing, reduce the possibility of falling into a local extreme. Suppose we have this problem. Here we have a different energy levels. So simple energy landscape with two minima. We have a two minima, one is a EA level and another one is a EB level. And so if you are taking it as a, there is a, you are taking a ball. So once ball is getting down and it will be stuck out at the EA level. So when you are rolling down a hill, then you stuck out at EA level, but there is no energy to move up to the climb again to the EB level. So there is the insufficient energy to roll up the other side and down into the global minimum. So this reduces the possibility of falling into a local extreme by shaking. So this means journal state is when you start climbing down or rolling down from the hill. So there is the first possibility to fall down into the first local minima. This is a basically a silicon bone being grown in a furnace. So we raise the temperature. First temperature is mildly cool down and the another is rapidly cool down. If you are mildly cooling down, so it has a solid structure, so it has a stable energy level. But if you are rapidly cool down, it has a fragile structure and higher energy, so it always remains in a unstable form. So simulating annealing start with a higher temperature and gradually lower temperatures while processing. So high temperature is giving you a vigorous shaking, but low temperature is giving you the gentle shaking. Now, when we are talking about the energy function, I already explained you have a dynamic state which change with time. Then you have a state as a collection of adaptable quantity with qualitative items that characterize the system like weight, data flows. So two types of the dynamics in a neural network, training phase and the production phase. When you are talking about the training phase, it is iteratively update the weights. When you are talking about the production phase, it is asymptotically converged to the solution patterns. So energy function is normally based on the Lipnow function. So it is a function of system state decreasing with time. So system solution is gives you the minimum energy. So in journal theory of dynamic system, if a bounding function of a state variable of a system can be found such that all state changes result in a decrease in the value of the function, then always system has a stable solution. Now we are taking a simple example. We have a energy function E equal to minus y transpose wx, where xy are the input and output vectors. Both are bipolar. E possesses the following property that any change in x and y result is no increase in energy. E minimum is summation of the weights and which is bounded. E changes by a finite amount. Now 1 and 2 is giving you a Lipnow function, but third is change in E cannot be infinitesimally small. Now these are the complete networks about the Boltzmann machine. So three different types of the Boltzmann machine. First is a completion network. So here you see that there are the two layers, hidden and the visible layer. So visible layer and the hidden layer fully interconnected between the layers and among unit on each layer. You see that one is connected with all the units. Same way other units are connected with all the units. So all connection are bidirectional. Another is the input and output methods. So the visibly units are divided into input and output units. Here no connection among input units, only connection from input to other units are unidirectional. So all other connection are bidirectional. So there are the input and output. So whatever you are considering, accordingly you are designing the layer. Another one is the restricted layer network. Here you have a visible layer and the hidden layer. So it is a two-layer process, visible or hidden layer. So there is no connection among the visible or a hidden neurons. This is the complete network of the Boltzmann completion. Here input parameters are binary. Energy system is, of course, I showed earlier also, it is minus half of the XTWX. And change in energy gives you the weight or the net of the energy to that net. Suppose we have an incomplete pattern. This is a pattern where xt is equal to 0, u1, 0, u1, 0, where u is unknown and you have to store the pattern x equal to 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0. To recall, as we select the visible unit to the known values in x dash, set the unknown visible units, and we are taking the values from 0 and 1. So set the initial temperature to a large temperature, calculate the input layers, and randomly select a unit of that. Then we are calculating the probability using 1 upon 1 plus E minus net, where Z follows the, because we are using 0, 1, so uniform distribution. So repeat 4 and 5 till all the unit or we are completely processing the cycle. Repeat this process several cycles until we are achieving the thermal equilibrium. This means when dE by dt equal to 0. So lower T and repeat step 4 and through 7. So this means we are stucking between step 4 to 7 and then we are finding the energy. So now when we are finding the energy or we are taking E minimum as minus half of this, so result on the visible layer, what will be the probability of Y, probability of Z? Already I explained earlier that why we are taking Gibbs distribution. Same way we are taking our events A as a xi event, B is this, the probability of C is 1 by Z of exponent of this, probability of B is this, probability of A condition B is this one, so it is probability of union B but divided by probability of B. Since A union B is giving you the C structure, so probability of J is comes out to be probability C by probability B. And when we solve it, we are getting at the last as a logistic function, which earlier also I showed you in the perceptron forms that how logistic functions we are getting in. So in the input vector is clamped at the visible layer and is never updated. So all hidden and output nodes are updated according to the simulated annealing. And restricted Boltzmann machine, no temperature parameter employed. So there is no annealing process involved in both training and production. So we have the learning process where we are using the probability model of the population. There are many different models that can be consistent with the sample. We choose among the various models. So BM is the model to lead the most homogeneous distribution of input factors, consistent with the example supplied. Most homogeneous distribution, suppose we have a 3D vector in a population P where component are 0, 1. Suppose we start the suppose vector of type 1. Now the rest 2 unit have a 40% of the probability. So there are many choices. You can have the 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0 or 1, 1. So you have the 4 cases. So there are the different ways, but the most homogeneous distribution is that all has the equal chances. So from the 40, 10% is the chance for 0, 1, 10% for 0, 0 and like this thing. So the BM learning discover a set of weights that minimize the information gain of the observed probability distribution with respect to the Boltzmann distribution. The information gain of the system with respect to system S2 is gives you the Gibbs energy, which is nothing but the sum of these one. Outline of training a Boltzmann machine: raise the temperature, anneal the system unless equilibrium reached. At each T, adjust weights, and then repeat step 1 to 3 until the observed probability distribution approximate the Boltzmann distribution. And the above procedure used the technique of gradient descent on G and simulated annealing on the 1 and 2. So this is the simple example where we are using the probabilities. So given a set of examples for being learned, define HB as the set of all possible vectors that may appear on the hidden units. Then we have the clamp of the visible units, probability of plus the visible unit, then probability of the combined of joint probability, and negative is the probability that appear on the visible layer. Same way P negative of the joint probability. And this is the, if anyone interested, so mathematical person, that they can discuss with me, and already this is available with Professor Roboto. So I'm skipping as I think time shortage is there. So these are only I have showed in a simple way that how you have to find out the probabilities of each layers, and this will gives you the complete probability of the conditional probability for plus and minus. And when you are taking a combination of these two, so you find out that the at each level probability of plus means the visible layer and the hidden layer are the same one. This should be same way you are able to find out the probabilities and the frequencies. So when you are getting it, now training the Boltzmann machine, because you are taking only.
I can't hear anything.
Hello. Hello. Yeah. So we are training.
No, Myla, I don't know what it is.
So we have average the
হ্যালো ঠিক আছে ঠিক আছে
we repeat the step 1 to 4 for all training vectors, and then
I
in
can
this
hear
way we are
anything and everything.
unclaim the visible unit. Run through steps 2 to 5 for calculating the probability. We choose the weight, and then we are doing the repeating of the steps again and again. So when we are talking about the practical consideration, we are using the temperature should be reduced according to this formula. Cauchy machine, then we are using Cauchy distribution. Now this is a simple example, and which is a live example where we are using this Boltzmann machine. This is a one day why car will not start. So there are the 7 symptoms. You don't know anything. Second, you click it, grind it, crank it, no spark, cable hot, or no gas. These are the symptoms. And the likely causes are battery, solenoid, starter, wires, distributor, fuel pump, and the relationship. Now you see this graph. Here you have all the cases, likely causes, and the symptoms. You does not know nothing, does nothing. This means there is no battery. Clicks, this means either battery is low, or the solenoid is not working, or the starter is not working. If grinds is there, this means starter is not working, wires are not working, or distributor, or like this thing. So this way you are defining. If no gas, so of course no relationship between any other things. Now when you are applying the Boltzmann machine, so there are the 7 input units as the symptoms, 6 are the causes. So 7 versus 6, you have the vector pairs, and the total are the 14 hidden layers. Now when you are combining these, so you see that here your symptoms inputs are 6, and these are the graph, and the likely cause outputs are these ones. So suppose I have the training pair as I 0 1 0 0 0 1 0. This means if you click at the third level, this is the 0 1 0 0 1 0. This shows that clicks cable hot. So this means it is a clicks with the cable hot, and it shows that what is the cause of output. There is a solenoid. This means clicks for cable hot is the due to the solenoid. So this is the structure which can easily structure out with this one. These are the restricted Boltzmann. Already I have explained that. So here no temperature parameter employed, so no annealing process involved. We have the different functions, Gaussian Bernoulli function. So again, energy function is given as a vectors of the two functions V and H, and which is a V minus A transpose into VA, and like this thing. The probability is given like these ones. Conditional probability, we have these ones. So we have the training phase. Given a training sample, estimate the parameter by maximizing the log likelihood. So we have this structure as a different layer, vector field H1, H2, and the higher level. And it has a conditional bound. Log of PV is always greater than of the log of all the probabilities. Log of P1X is that. So this has simple derivative, that is a more justifiable fine-tuning algorithm. That now this is the network where we are using the how these are connected with this. First is connected with the third, second is connected with the fifth, and third is connected with the sixth. And this is the complete process where we are using the process of 2D representation of the features. Here we are using the Gibbs distribution energy model. Already I explained it is 1 by Z of exponent of the energy of all the at all the points. In case of the shallow architecture, we simple has the mean function. So all the points are there, take the mean of these ones. Then if you are using Markov random field, then energy is nothing but the sum of the weights and the summation of all the connected units. So simple initial vector and the sum of the connecting units. When you have a shallow architecture, in case of a restricted Boltzmann, then energy is nothing. BIs means the first vector, then the Wij, the vector or the weight which is connecting two layers, and the sum of all the hidden layers. So this gives you the energy of the shallow architecture. And when we are solving it, we are getting in total, it will be a marginal distribution is given by these ones. And probabilities at 1 or 1 by H or 1 by V or vice versa. Now, when we are using the restricted Boltzmann inference and using Bloch cubes, so you see that it is giving the self-similar structure of these ones. And after some, you are going on structuring and analyzing it. This gives you the learning using the stochastic gradient descent. Here we are using a data at the initial level minus data of the higher level. It is the rate of change of the data. So this means it gives you the gift sampling for a very long time. Here we are using the RB inference. So you start with the vector, goes to the layer, then layer to the vector, then vector to the layer, and like this it is going on continuously increasing. And this is giving you the output of this function. And if you are reducing, so how much layer you are using, it accordingly you are giving the system in. So it is the gradient of the log probability of the training data, more closely approximating the gradient. It gives you a gradient of any function and it works well enough to achieve the success in many significant applications. This is a deep architecture where vertex is there, first hidden layer, and the second hidden layer is again the function is given by like this one. And this is the deep architecture, which all the probabilities. Shallow, now this is the comparison. If you are using only magnetic of this Markov-Radon, then energy is given like this thing. RBM is this one, and deep base is this one. And deep Boltzmann machine is more powerful, probabilistic and generative function. So it will only have database with a few training examples. So once you are getting a database DBM, then we are doing from this to with the shape management. So here we are using the shape management. So some figures we are doing restrict the connectivity, tie the parameter and restrict the capacities. And this is showing the how you are making a shape Boltzmann from one, not all are connected, some top middles and something you are going on connected as per the shape of the picture. And now I'm taking a simple example. Suppose this is an image in the vector form. You are using H1 and S2, you reconstruct, then sample 1, then sample 2, and like this, whatever, when you are getting the similar sample. So here we are using 500 samples per second. This is the general method. You do the pre-training, then joint training, and it requires a 2 to 6 hours on the small data set. I'm starting with this problem. This is our goal to find out the picture or what is this image look like this. So we are taking a segmentation modeling and which are available. So this is the model. So one way is this one or this one. So of course, probability of this is resembling more as compared to this one. This is a complete horse data set which is available there. So there are the total 327 images which we are getting. Now what can we do with an ideal shape model? Now we are doing the modeling. So see that how we are modeling, which kind of structure it is taking. Now with the computer graphics, we are again simulating it. So if we are using the mean architecture, we are getting this type of the structure. But when we are getting Markov random field, we are getting this type of the structure. So same model, means we are getting sample from this model. Now we are doing a strong model of shape. So we are doing a realism or generalization. So when you have a realization, there are some training images which are in the real distribution field. And this blue is the learned distribution. Now we are using the data. If we are using the criteria, simple data, we are getting this analysis. If we are getting a Fourier analysis, we are getting an incorrect generalization. See the last pic. We are using the restricted Boltzmann machine, failure to learn the variability. But when we are using the shape Boltzmann machine, we are getting the natural shape, which is variety of poses, sharply defined details, and corrected number of legs also. So this is the complete sampled shapes which we are getting it. Of course, here the number of legs is not complete. It is a sample from the shape. It is a closest image in the training data set, and this is the difference between the two images. So you see that the difference in two images. So what does it do in the HSCAM is the second layer where we are doing the shaping. So it is taking one is this one, second and third one. So you see it is taking this circle, this one and this one. So now it is making a shape to these ones. So using the interactive GUI, we are doing this. And this is the form of the different training images. And so basically we collect the 25 unseen hosts, divide each into 9 segments, estimate the conditional log probability. So log probability we are calculating and arranging over images and segments. So we are calculating the score. If we are using the mean, score comes out to be minus 50.7. In case of restrict Boltzmann, we are getting minus 47, FA minus 40. But in case of shape Boltzmann machine, we are getting it as a minus 28.85, which is very, very close. So we jointly do on the without knowledge of any class. So this is a shape completion. This is a sampled shapes. This is that how different pose information is there in the different layer. It is at the first layer, then it is connected to the V into H. And when we are plotting these ones, so it is a V, means this one vector, and this is a HK square level, and see that how closely we are getting the training images or the accuracy is there. So in general, what we can see and understand, it depends on our scale of observation. And so deep learning, you see the example, it is a simple training and our input is to train this dog. And when we are taking a first layer, it is analyzing then the second layer or higher or top layers. And the output is 90% you are getting it as a dog, but 10% you are getting it as a wolf. So chance of the, it is a 90% acceptance. So use of artificial intelligence, deep learning or the Boltzmann machine is intent prediction, recognition, new knowledge, making senses, replacing human, information retrieval, pattern recognition, audience targeting, sentiment analysis, personalization, automation, natural language processing, social media mining, organic research, brand and product differentiation, language translation, speech recognition, generating handwritten, face recognition, autonomous driving, generating arts, imitating famous painters, generating music, generating photos. And also they have the power system, peak load forecast, failure prediction, condition monitoring, increase in the energy efficiency and the different types of the model. Lastly, because I discussed always with the Roberto also, mathematics is not about numbers, equation, computation or algorithm, whatever I presented. It is simply about the understanding. So if you understand, you are a mathematician. Normally in our life, these are the complete Venn diagrams. We have so many things. What you are good at is your profession or passion. What you are love to do is your passion and mission. What the world need is mission and your vocation. What you can be paid is your profession and vocation. But if you merge all these or take the sub or subset of these ones, you are getting with this star, which is your purpose. So this is a simple life purpose or the research purpose, but we are stuck out in so many things with so many Venn diagrams. As we know that all we need is love, and this is nothing but a mathematical symbol. Y equal to 1 by x is representing your exponential curve. So L, x square plus y square equal to 9, which is O. Y equal to mod x, which is V. and x equal to minus 3 mod of sine y, which is E. So I believe that success has only one amazing formula. Stop thinking in terms of limitation and start thinking in terms of possibilities. Anyone who stops learning is old, whether at the age of 20 or 80. Anyone who keeps learning stays young. So learning never ends. I am always doing that which I cannot do in order that I may learn how to do it. It is a famous quote by the Picasso. So I always believe in this quote. And meet the first, this our Hindi speaking robot. I'm lucky that it is also Rashmi, the first Hindi speaking humanoid robot. And as said by the roboto, that Rashmi meaning is a ray of light. So of course this is a ray of light, and it is also based on the machine intelligence and all this what I have presented. So any queries, your queries, doubts, you can contact me at any time. Thank you. So
hello?
Yeah, hello. I make a host to Professor Roboto.
Yeah,
Once again, thank to my God and to of course the Professor Roboto who gave me this chance. And I tried to make it as.
Well, I just would like to say that I do thank you, and many people, of course, do thank you. Your presentation has been extremely wonderful. It's a lovely presentation, and everybody is going to have access to the presentation, which has been taped from the very first second. And I would like to say something about Professor Rashmi. And she had devoted her lifetime to advance the state of the art in a variety of disciplines, and have also taken good care of as many people as possible. And this is very true. From my viewpoint, I do believe that Professor Rashmi has already made a significant contribution to mankind. She has always been able to combine her disciplines with humanity, social science brackets, are most relevant with love and care for human beings. This is a very important point, which I would like to emphasize. Also, she worked very hard so that there is no need to introduce her further to the scientific community and to all and each citizen of this world. As we know, the sum of the parts is by no means equal to the total. Nevertheless, I can see in the world wonderful scientists, in these wonderful scientists, and a better human being, as a lovely and synchronic linear combination, using mathematical terms, along with the most outstanding pieces of classic music. I do believe that music and this kind of science made the perfect for everything. It is not always easy to describe a human being such as Professor Rashmi. She is indeed a ray of light. As a member of the organizing committee, let us welcome once again this outstanding human being. And thank you very much indeed. And I would like to thank all the people I love, and I have a lot of affection in India and everywhere, but now I'm getting older and older and getting closer and closer to India. There must be a reason, which I think that Bolsa machine will be able to teach me. Okay? So thank you very much indeed to everybody. And if someone wants to ask something to Professor Rashmi, please go ahead.
I have, hello, Professor Rashmi and Dr. Rajendra Joshi.
Hi.
I have some few specific query, because it's not related to exactly your subject. See, this is general opinion, my personal opinion. You began your talk with research and methodology and few stuffs like that. You know, when we do some experiment inside a laboratory, we mix one chemical with other chemical, second chemical with third chemical, something comes out. No rocket science on that. And you can justify that scientifically as well. Very nicely you can justify. we connect one wire with other wire, with other wire, something comes out. We justify that, publish a paper. These all things are project. We don't sell project in market, we sell product in market. Keeping this in mind, 80% institutional patent, institutional research is hanging in the sky. There are no buyers. It's a report, no buyers. What are your views on that? Why we don't even, I have very strong R&D team in my company when we don't buy from institutions. What's the reason behind it? Why they go towards a project-based research? There's no meaning of that. What do you say?
Basically, if I talked about the Indian context, because I think you are talking about the Indian context.
It's
only
worldwide.
know
It's
that
worldwide. It's 80% institutional patent are hanging in
worldwide
skies
also,
worldwide.
in worldwide, yeah, worldwide also. When you are in a job, in the last slide I showed you that you have a Venn diagrams. Your passion and vocation is something different, but exactly your purpose is a very small, and that purpose we are forgetting somewhere in struggling between the to satisfy our profession, to satisfy our vocation, or to satisfy the society or other things. So everywhere, because you have a different rules and different patterns, different things to exist, you have to publish the paper, you have to do some research, and now the restrictions is it should be a 4-point impact factor or like this type of the things. So what you are doing? You are only doing a mixing of chemical, you are not doing any rocket science, mixing anything, and you are calculating, and then you are finding the result out of that. So this is in journal what we are doing. But of course, I showed in the first slide that curiosity is the basic research, which we are lagging. And that is required. Even in this pandemic era, we require that basic research, which will give the reason why this corona is there and how to struggle out or to how to come out with that and what should be the solution of that. Now, all the countries are struggling, and still I don't think that we are come out with some positive solution. So this is my way only.
Yes, thank you very much. See, I just want to ask one more thing, because the right platform, I find senior people there. We know very nicely 1 + 1 = 2, universal truth. Is it necessary to intricate, then differentiate, put some tensor on that, then apply time dilation phenomena, then relativity, and arrive to 1 + 2? That's a trend of research. We have a library, very big library. We read research articles several times, man. But there's nothing leading outside, nothing leading. End of the day, we just wasted 2 hours to read that particular literature. I'm not talking all about. Most of this stuff is like this. This is a serious problem now. You may say we have a trend, we have to go impact factor. I may say the similar thing, but who is going to solve the purpose? How the lowest end of society is going to be benefited? End of the day, that's actually research.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying now in this pandemic era, everyone is struggling, and the purpose is to find out the vaccine or to make a cure of this disease, okay, or this pandemic. So that is a purpose. But in any country, if I talk about any country in a global worldwide, everyone is talking differently. No one is talking on the point of that what we need and what we are required for that, the benefit of the society. So no one is talking about what is our purpose. Exactly, that is lagging, and that I am saying that we are making 1 + 1 2 instead of making 1 + 1 2 directly. We are making 1 + 0 + 1 + 0 + 0 + 0 + 1. So this we are doing it because everywhere we required our survival also there. Because you cannot survive without your publication. So you are doing a mixing of the 2 chemical or the 3 chemical or a 4 chemical. The same thing everywhere. So that's why our main curiosity is the basic research, and which is lacking due to the funding. And no countries, I think so, that is providing the funds for the basic research.
Thank you.
Excuse me, any other question from the audience? People are welcome to do so.
Thanks, Professor Rashmi. That was a very, very nice talk that you gave. I'm Dr. Aisha from Pakistan, and my field is not at all related to your field, right? So I'm purely a synthetic chemist, and I was just wondering that how your work can be applied on this synthetic chemistry. Second, I have another question. I suppose that you can hear me clearly. Please confirm if you can hear me.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have a very simple question. Like I said, that I don't have much background of your field. Can you please tell that what I have understood so far, that this Boltzmann machine, which is the basis of artificial intelligence, it works on the probability, right? So the things or the events that are much more probable, they can only be applied for artificial intelligence. But what if an event happens which is highly improbable? Because we see that events that happen that are not probable at all, it means that artificial intelligence will fail in such situations. In case of our synthetic organic chemistry, we plan the synthesis and we often predict that this should be our product. But what happens that sometimes we get a product which was not of the mechanism. It was something very weird, that's highly improbable, and we are not expecting it at all. So what happens, I mean, how can this artificial intelligence be applied on events that are highly improbable? That's my question. Thank you.
Yeah. Firstly, it is not clearly a probability based. Basically, it is a probability combined with the weights. So weight is that, like earlier I said that I showed you the two example. I have to take the 40% probability. So there is the one way is I am taking 8, 10, 12 and like this thing. And another one is I am taking a equal chances and then we are dividing it as a 10 probability. So this means the weight, whatever we are assigning, is generally depends on that how we are giving in. In general, like I'm working in the field of meteorology. So in the weather forecasting, when we are doing a weather forecasting, we are doing a weights based on the, not a complete series. We are taking only a 2 previous days. So then we are giving a weightage that for 2 days weather forecasting, the previous day we are giving a like a 50%, then to the day before as a 25 and like this thing. So we are having a cumulative summation of weights. So how many hidden layers we are increasing, that is increasing you the weight probabilities. So when you are increasing the weight chances, so whatever be your byproduct during the any chemical reaction, that has a less probability or the probabilistic towards that, because you are increasing the layers between those, and that is normally figure out during those processes.
Thank you.
Professor Rajmi, there is a question here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
It's from Vladimir Munoz Pavlov. Vladimir is a very close friend of mine. He works at the same place as I do, and he's a geologist. And according to some concept of knowledge, he says, raised by Maturana, Maturana it is actually, he's alive, thanks to God. He's a very good, I would say one of the best thinkers in this country. According to Maturana, when we explore a reality, we do so with tools defined by our models of reality, so the data we obtain is limited by a preliminary model that limits our condition, the design of our tools to capture the data and to analyze it. They could limit an accuracy to a point where it could be difficult to assess our accuracy. How reliable is Boltzmann matching regarding an accuracy error, a quantization under that concept? This is what he's trying to find out from you.
Yeah, I read that question on the chat box. Actually, all the scientists are basically working on the field of reducing this error propagation. So new techniques, new technology, now we are using towards the evolutionary techniques, which are based on the nature inspired algorithms. So there we are getting a more and more. So this is I can say the ocean, and we are only dipping in and finding in that which method is giving you the most accurate method. So no method is an accurate method. We are getting, like in one case, we are getting a 50% accuracy, then we are applying a restricted Boltzmann, we are getting a 60% of accuracy. Like I showed you the horse case, where you are having a hidden layers and you are getting a, firstly DBM analysis, you are not getting a complete picture of a leg. You are that showed only 3 legs, not the 4th leg. But when we are using on that as a shape Boltzmann machine, then you are getting some clear picture. So maybe we are getting some another architecture which will be applied on that. So we are getting only, it is a hidden and hit and trial we are doing on this. So no method is a perfect method, and that's why the scenario is continuously going on changing. So I think that what should be the future era, we are moving towards the quantum computing from our CPU to GPU. So these are the processes it is going on. Only we are approximating, and I cannot say any model is a perfect model.
Yeah. I wonder if there is any question left. I had to say that Professor Rashmi, you have been very kind to us. And you have spent a long time with us, and we are quite happy. I wish we could have you longer here, but that's not from my point of view to approach people. So, well, in the name of all of us, and I would like to acknowledge you and to wish you the very best. And please do accept our fondest regard from every single corner of this world, and please keep on working hard and hard. And well, try to illuminate us with your knowledge and your wonderful smile. And thank you very much indeed. And thank to everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you,
Oh.
Professor. Yeah,
So,
thanks very much for giving me this opportunity, and sorry because due to my I'm not keeping good health, and I kept on lingering or postponing 1 week due to this process. So sorry for that, but thanks, at last it happened.
Well,
we have succeeded.
Right, everything was absolutely wonderful. And well, I had to tell the people that we're going to publicize the information, but September the 26th, we're going to have the webinar by Professor Deepak Bhattacharya. And another time, well, I have the title of the conference with me, and I would like to invite you all. Let me find the title of the conference in all my papers I have here. And I think it's an arrow of time in research and education, which is a very good subject, actually. Well, thank you very much indeed. And I wish everybody the very best, and greeting from Chile, and a big hug from me. And God bless you, and stay blessed all the time. Bye-bye to everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.